Burn the hustle, how rest becomes revolution when systems are designed to exhaust you. Good morning, everyone. I stand here today not just as a speaker, but as someone forever transformed by a recent conversation that fundamentally shifted how I understand power, productivity, and possibility. Today, I have the extraordinary privilege of sharing insights from my interview with Savitri R. Matthews, a revolutionary force whose work is quietly dismantling the very foundations of how we think about leadership, sustainability, and liberation in professional spaces. For those who don't know her, Savitri Matthews isn't just a strategic partner and organizational consultant. She is a visionary architect of liberation, someone who has dedicated her life to creating pathways for Black women and leaders of color to not just survive, but truly thrive in systems never designed with their wholeness in mind. Her methodologies have transformed countless organizations, but more importantly, they've given permission to exhausted leaders to imagine a different way of being powerful. What I'm about to share with you today isn't just counterintuitive in our achievement obsessed culture, it's downright heretical. And that heresy, that's the sound of a paradigm shattering. We've been sold a story about success that's literally killing us. The story goes something like this: work harder, push through, sacrifice everything. Burnout is just the price of admission for greatness. But what if everything, absolutely everything we've been taught about success is fundamentally dangerously wrong? What if burnout isn't a badge of honor, but a system failure? What if rest isn't a reward, but a prerequisite? And what if, as Savitri Matthews so powerfully articulates, the most revolutionary act in a world designed to exhaust you is to prioritize your wholeness? Today, I want to challenge one of our most deeply held cultural assumptions that grinding yourself to dust is the path to achievement. This belief is so embedded in our collective consciousness that we rarely question it. We celebrate the 80-hour work week. We glorify the leader who never takes vacation. We admire the entrepreneur who sacrifices sleep, relationships, and health at the altar of success. But here's what my conversation with Savitri Matthews revealed: burnout is not a personal failure, it's a systemic signal. Let me say that again because it's transformative. Burnout is not proof that you're inadequate or weak. It's evidence of your strength and resilience in environments designed to exhaust you. The narrative that burnout results from individual shortcomings misses the truth. It's often the outcome of systemic imbalance and relentless, unsustainable demands placed on leaders, especially Black professionals and women of color. Recognizing this shifts the conversation from self blame to collective responsibility. This insight is particularly crucial for Black women who face what Savitri calls the compound interest of exhaustion, navigating spaces that weren't built with them in mind while simultaneously carrying the weight of representation and often the emotional labor of educating others. The strongest among us aren't those who never break, Savitri told me, but those who recognize when systems are breaking them and have the courage to design something different. Let's look at some evidence. The Loveland Foundation, founded by Rachel Cargill in 2018, provides therapy support for Black women and girls across the United States. But this isn't just another nonprofit with a nice mission statement. Rachel Cargill launched Loveland after her own experiences with burnout as an activist. She saw firsthand how rarely Black women could access rest or healing resources tailored specifically to them. She witnessed brilliant women, community leaders, mothers, professionals pushed to breaking points because the world demanded everything from them while giving little back. Instead of just creating another program that asks Black women to do more, be more, give more, Loveland created a therapy fund that has distributed over $5 million dollars in grants as of 2024. But what's revolutionary isn't just what they do, it's how they do it. The foundation built organizational practices that prioritize staff wellness, including flexible schedules and mandatory rest periods. They don't just talk about healing, they embody it in their operational structure. And the results? Thousands have accessed affordable therapy, and staff report higher retention rates due to intentional wellness policies. This brings me to Savitri's second key insight. Rest, automation, and clarity aren't just nice to haves, they're acts of resistance. Rest isn't just recovery, it's radical. For Black leaders, navigating spaces never intended for their thriving, building systems that center rest, clarity, and automation is not indulgence, it's justice work. These are strategies to reclaim power and sustainability in leadership roles where overwork has been normalized as virtue. As the great Audre Lorde reminded us, caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. Consider Justice Reskill, a tech training organization founded by Chris Bennett, focused on upskilling justice involved individuals, including many people of color, for high growth careers in technology. When COVID 19 hit, staff faced overwhelming administrative burdens while trying to scale programs rapidly. This was a recipe for burnout among mission driven teams already stretched thin. But instead of pushing people harder, they chose a different path. They adopted workflow automation tools, so repetitive tasks like onboarding or reporting were handled automatically, freeing up energy for relationship building with students. This wasn't just about efficiency, it was about liberation. Employee satisfaction improved markedly, and program reach doubled without additional staff stress or turnover spikes. Over 2,500 graduates have been placed into tech jobs since their launch in 2020. Chris Bennett drew on his background in both tech startups and social justice advocacy when designing Justice Reskill's operational model around efficiency and equity, not one at the expense of the other. The organization demonstrates how automating low value tasks can be an act of liberation within organizations led by and serving communities historically excluded from tech. This approach challenges the false binary that suggests we must choose between impact and well being. As Savitri Matthews eloquently puts it, the systems that burn us out were designed. What is designed can be redesigned. Which brings me to the third transformative insight from our conversation. Redesigning systems multiplies impact. The moment we stop centering urgency and instead design our organizations around liberation, we don't lose momentum, we gain exponential impact. True sustainability comes not from doing less, but from designing better, aligning values with practices so our work heals us even as it heals others. Girl Trek offers a powerful example of this principle in action. It's America's largest public health movement dedicated to Black women walking together for healing, inspired by Harriet Tubman's legacy, with over 1 million members nationwide. Founders Vanessa Garrison and T. Morgan Dixon observed high rates of chronic illness rooted not just in lack of exercise, but also generational trauma, exacerbated by workplace stressors unique to Black women leaders. Rather than creating yet another demanding health program, Girl Trek reframed walking groups not only as fitness initiatives, but also as safe spaces where joy was centered above productivity, a direct challenge to hustle culture norms. Both founders experienced burnout firsthand working corporate and nonprofit jobs before launching Girl Trek to save ourselves first. The movement has surpassed 1 million walkers nationwide and been recognized nationally by the CDC and Oprah Winfrey Network. What's revolutionary about Girl Trek is that they've proven movements built around joy, not urgency, can achieve massive scale while restoring well being at every level. Now I can almost hear the objections forming, but what about excellence? What about achievement? What about changing the world? This is where we must confront our deepest conditioning. We've been taught that rest and impact are opposing forces, that we must sacrifice one for the other. But what if that's a false dichotomy? What if, as Savitri Matthews suggests, our greatest contributions come not when we're depleted, but when we're whole? What if the path to sustainable excellence isn't grinding harder, but designing better? What if liberation isn't something we achieve after the work is done, but the very foundation upon which meaningful work must be built? The evidence from organizations like Loveland Foundation, Justice Rescue, and Girl Trek suggests something profound. When we center rest, automation, and clarity, we don't diminish our impact, we multiply it. When Black women leaders design systems that honor their wholeness, they don't just survive, they thrive and bring entire communities with them. This isn't just theory, it's transformation happening right now, led by visionaries like Savitri Matthews, who understand that the most revolutionary act in a world designed to exhaust you is to prioritize your wholeness. So, where do we go from here? First, we must recognize burnout as a system failure, not a personal one. When you feel exhausted beyond measure, that's not evidence of your weakness. It's evidence of a system that needs redesigning. Second, we must reclaim rest as resistance. For Black women, especially in a world that has historically extracted labor without regard for well being, choosing rest is revolutionary. Third, we must redesign our organizations and movements with liberation at the center. This means questioning urgency culture, automating what doesn't require human connection, and creating clarity about what truly matters. I want you to imagine a world where our most brilliant minds aren't burning out, but burning bright, where our movements for justice aren't fueled by exhaustion, but by sustainable collective power, where we measure success not by how much we sacrifice, but by how much we liberate ourselves and others. This isn't a fantasy, it's already happening in pockets of resistance and redesign across our world. I challenge you today. Look at one system in your life that's designed for exhaustion. It might be your workplace, your community organization, even your family dynamics. Now ask yourself, what would it look like if this system were redesigned for liberation? What one change could you make tomorrow? The revolution we need won't be born from exhaustion. It will emerge from our collective courage to rest when the world demands we run, to design differently when conformity is expected, to value our wholeness in a culture that profits from our fragmentation. As Savitri Matthews reminds us, we don't have to hustle harder. We have permission now to heal differently and lead like liberation depends on us all, because it does. The most radical thing you can do in a world designed to exhaust you isn't to push harder, it's to pause, to breathe, to redesign. And then from that place of wholeness, to transform everything. Thank you.